Welcome to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. I'm Alicia J, and I'm here with Terrika, Foster-Brasby. Put the hyphen in it, too. Don't forget that. And, it's February, so we got to kick off this show with saying Happy Black History Month. We celebrate today and every day, but in February especially. So happy Black History Month to everybody. And we're here with a women's Winter Olympic preview because it kicks off in about a week time, a little under a week, actually, Terrika. So we're really excited to talk all things Winter Olympics. And this is We Need to Talk Now. So let's talk about it, Terrika. Women's hockey. We need to start this off with women's hockey because it is a deep rivalry between the U.S. and Canada. It has been happening for years. As a matter of fact, since women's hockey was first included in the Winter Olympics in 1998, every single gold medal final except for 2006 has featured the U.S. and Canada. U.S. has won gold just twice. Canada has won gold 5 times. The U.S. won in 2018, and Canada got revenge in 2022 in Beijing. So it's important to note, too, these two teams coming into these Winter Olympics, while Team USA is leaning into college experience, the entirety of Team Canada, their roster hails from the PWHL. So a little difference in experience there. The recent World Championship finishes, last 2 World Championship gold medals matches have resulted in overtime with the U.S. and Canada trading wins. So listening to all of this and what has happened between the U.S. and Canada in hockey, Terrika, who are you favoring to win these Olympics?
Well, first of all, can I just say that I love hockey? And so I love anytime we get an opportunity to talk about women's hockey, but history is just really letting us know that at the end of the day, it's going to either be Canada or the U.S. And you've already laid it out, right? That there's going to be no mystery that these two teams are going to be the one that's probably going to come down to it in the end. But I am giving the U.S. the edge this time around. And no, it is not simply because I am American. But I think Canada has set itself as the standard, right? You think about their captain in Marie-Philippe Poulin, who is one of the most clutch athletes in Olympic history, period. Like, she's the one who scored the gold winning goal in 3 different Olympic finals. So there's no questioning that they've got experienced vet. There's no questioning that they've got people who can truly shut it down. She's going to be looking to add another chapter to an already legendary career for her. So we can't forget that. And again, you mentioned it. Canada got their leg back in 2022 when they knocked off the U.S. to reclaim gold. But I feel like this is a moment of transition, which is where the U.S. can actually benefit. At the top, you've got Hillary Knight, right? She's the captain, competing in what is most likely her last Olympic Games. She's been the face of this U.S. team for over a decade. So when you think about a leader like that and the youth that you've mentioned, somebody in the locker room that these women want to win it for, I think it matters in a rivalry, especially one this close. And the other thing I think that really separates this U.S. team, though, is the fact that they have already proven that they can win with this young core. Even though this roster is stacked collegiately, they are fast. They are fearless. They've already been battle tested internationally. We've seen U.S. hockey trust their younger lineups over the course of the last few international competitions, and they didn't just hold their own. Like, they beat out veteran national teams in Europe, and they didn't need their stars. So I feel like when you combine that veteran leadership, when you combine that hunger and that confidence amongst being in a rivalry that really is going to play on emotion and momentum, I think the U.S. should be the favorite this year.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I mean, when you look at them losing the gold in the last Olympics and then also coming into this, the United States is the reigning 2025 world champion, defeating Canada in April of 2025. So it's like, keep that rolling. You got that youth, you got that energy. You also got to get your lick back from the last Olympics. And so I see them getting this gold for sure. Now, what about players to watch for US? I mean, there's so many. You mentioned a lot of them. Hillary Knight was definitely one that I wanted to talk about, playing in her 5th Olympics, and says this is her last one. So we should definitely be watching what she's doing. But outside of Hillary and some of the players that you've mentioned, who do you think we should be watching for the U.S.?
Well, I mean, would it be Black History Month if I didn't mention my girl, Laila Edwards? She is absolutely sitting at the top of this list. She's a trailblazer. She's the first Black woman to represent Team USA in women's hockey, and that alone makes her presence significant. But what truly makes this moment compelling for her is that there is no moment too big because she's already dominated on big stages. She comes from Wisconsin. This is not a program that just wins, but it prepares their players for pressure. She's a two-time NCAA national champion, first team All-American. She's already proven that she knows how to thrive internationally. She was actually the MVP in the IIHF Women's World Championships in 2024. So that lets you know like everything that you need to know about how impactful she can be against elite competition. But even when you talk about her game, she's versatile. Sis was a forward who is now a defenseman. So she's bringing physicality. She's bringing vision. She's bringing that offensive instinct from the back end. And I think that's something that's really going to matter in international play. And full circle moment here, I was reading this article where she was talking about she was so excited when she was a kid watching Team USA beat Canada. She was 14 years old. So imagine now being like 21 going on 22 and you're suiting up for Team USA, who will eventually end up playing Canada in an Olympic rivalry. So it's like a full 180 moment right here. It's so crazy.
Yeah, and literally making Black history in Black History Month, which is what she's doing on this team as they start these Winter Olympics. It's really phenomenal. She's a phenomenal player. Both teams really have a lot of players that you need to watch. I would just like to say for Canada, they have a lot of players that are really have fought to be on this team. Kaylee Osborne is one of them. She is the backup goaltender for Canada, and she's one to watch because she's already worked her way into the 2 spot. So I would definitely look out for it. You got to stay ready. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to get ready. You got to stay ready. And she's one of those players on that Canada team that I see is going to get minutes in her first Olympics. So definitely look out for the players on both teams that are making history. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about skiing and snowboarding. So stay right there and we'll be back after this break. Welcome back to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. I'm Alicia J, here with Terrika Foster-Brasby, and we are breaking down the Winter Olympics that are kicking off in less than a week. And we have to talk about skiing and we have to talk about snowboarding. Both of these are traditionally sports that we have excelled in many levels. And we can't talk about skiing without talking about Lindsey Vonn, who has overcome so many injuries to come back and qualify for these Olympics, and unfortunately crashed in downhill on Friday, 10 days before the Olympic events began in skiing. And her coach actually told the Associated Press, while she didn't race World Cup Super G on Saturday, she is preparing for Cortina as usual. And she put out a statement after her crash because she was life flighted out, and a lot of people we're really concerned about her. And it's also important to know that's the best way to get a skier out when they are injured, no matter what the severity of the injury is. And she said, I crashed today in the downhill race in Switzerland and injured my left knee. I'm discussing the situation with my doctors and teams and will continue to undergo further exams. She also said her Olympic dream is not over. So when you see this, Terrika, everything that Lindsey Vonn has gone through to get back to these Olympics and then injuring herself right before it begins, you know, what are your thoughts on her medaling? Does it look different after her injury?
Yeah, this is a tricky conversation, Alicia, and I think it becomes even trickier when you are discussing one of the greatest downhill skiers of all time, right? When she walked away in 2019, it wasn't because she wasn't talented. It was because her body couldn't hold up anymore, right? And so she's been open about the pain that forced her out and, you know, the successful knee surgery and how that equation made this comeback even possible. And like you mentioned, like we've seen flashes that remind you why you can't ever really fully count her out. So it's definitely possible that she will recover from this latest situation and come back and medal and not be limited in competition. But I think the reality check is simply this, right? Downhill skating doesn't really allow for hesitation. Like either your body is there and you can do it and you can absorb the force and the speed and the margin of error that is incredibly thin already, or your body can't. I mean, and that's just the reality of it, right? And so I think that when you add in that she's mentally been pushing herself and her body has been pushing itself at this age, you certainly have to think that she can come back and be again, continuing to be the dominant player that she is. So if she does medal, I think it's probably going to be the most remarkable comeback story that this sport has ever seen.
Yeah, and I think just on that period, I want to see what happens, obviously. But the part that got me about her statement was my Olympic dreams are not over. And when Lindsey Vonn says that after everything that she's gone through, partial knee replacement, she's had multiple injuries that sideline her. She had to fight and fight and fight to come back. We actually interviewed her about it. And you can just see that she is not going to let up. She is relentless. So when I see that in her statement, I'm here to watch whatever Lindsey Vonn is going to race, because she has overcome and she is an overcomer. So
the one thing though that I will say, Alicia, is if she doesn't medal, then you're going to have that group of people that's going to have that negative connotation of, well, maybe she should have stayed retired. And I just want to add that I think that misses the point entirely. Like, I know that people are going to say that, but I don't think this comeback was ever about legacy. So, I mean, this is Lindsey Vonn we're talking about. Her legacy is secure. It is cemented. There is no reason to think that her returning and not medaling will somehow diminish what she's done and has done all this far in this sport. But I do know that there are going to be some people who are going to say, like, well, if she doesn't medal, she should have just stayed retired. And I just don't think that argument is valid.
Yeah, I don't either. If you qualified, which she did, she qualified to be in the Olympics, and injuries can happen to anyone. As we'll see as we continue this show, injuries happen a lot to athletes, especially around the point of competition, which is crazy because they train and train and train years and years and years to get to this, but it could happen to anyone. So who's to say, as someone else who qualified that would be there, if she was retired, the same thing wouldn't happen to them. So listen, when you qualified in my eyes. So that is exactly what Lindsey Vonn did. So we will definitely keep an eye out on her and what she does in these Olympics, as you should. It's also important to note that Mikaela Shiffrin, she is back in this. She's definitely a contender that people can, they're talking about for gold and definitely to medal. In Beijing, she suffered a major crash, failed to medal in any event there. And she had to really overcome, just like Lindsey, she had to overcome both mentally and physically to get back to where she's at. It's really another story of perseverance. When you see Mikaela Shiffrin looking to bounce back, what can she do from the podium standpoint, Terrika?
Yeah, I think the expectations for Mikaela is always going to be on the podium, which is fair because she's the most decorated alpine skier of all time. But 2022 was tough for Mikaela, though. Like, she had, 3 crashes in 6 races, no medals. She had later described that it kind of made her feel like a joke. Then, as you mentioned, the serious crash that sidelined her for a few weeks. I think she ended up having like PTSD. Like, this is her being here, Alicia, is that in itself, to me, is the victory. Like, just you being able to be here in and itself is what has already made you a winner in my eyes. And I know we're not giving out participation trophies, but I'm just saying she has overcome a lot to be here. And I think that's what really makes this moment different, right? But she's already won 7 of the last 8 World Cup slalom races. So she's here. Like, I think the world expects her to medal. It comes with her name. And I think it's realistic to think that she can. If she competes free, she trusts herself, she proves to herself that she's still the best in the world, then I absolutely believe Mikaela can get on that podium.
Yeah, she can, just as anybody else has. These stories, one after another perseverance is very inspiring to me. And that's part of sports, right? So we'll be keeping tabs on Mikaela as well and seeing what she does. We have to mention Chloe Kim. Chloe Kim She is on the verge of making history in every way. No snowboarder has ever won the same event at 3 consecutive Olympics, and Kim would be the first. However, she also got injured. She dislocated her shoulder, and she wrote on Instagram that she tore her labrum as well. And she wrote on Instagram that there are two ways to do it, and that she actually did it, like, I guess, the better way, if you can say that tearing your labrum can be better. But she's rehabbing to get it as strong as possible. And yet another story of coming back from injury so close to the games. But Chloe Kim,
Yeah.
going for that history. We're excited to see what she does there. We're excited to see what all three of these U.S. women do in the snow. But man, talk about inspiration and talk about what sport is all about.
Yeah.
And we have more to talk about when it comes to these Winter Olympics. We got to talk about figure skating. Terrika, I know you're excited to talk about this. I actually used to be a skater back in the day. I had the outfit.
Oh, excuse me. Well, excuse me.
And I got a little bit taller and couldn't do it anymore. But we'll be breaking down everything figure skating when we return right after this break. Welcome back to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. We are here with our Winter Olympics preview. And let me tell you, when it comes to figure skating, the women, the U.S. women, seem to have it on lock. Isabeau Levito, Amber Glenn, and Alyssa Liu are like a triple threat coming into this in figure skating. And they have a lot. They have a lot to prove, because between 1992 and 2002, the U.S. women only won 3 Olympic gold medals. But since in 2002, American women have won just 1 total medal, silver in 2026 via Sasha Cohen. So we haven't, I guess, really shown up on the podium for a really long time. But with these 3 women, people are saying that we may sweep. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, a sweep would be crazy, because I don't think I've ever seen 3 Americans on the podium for that would be nuts, right? And I remember seeing that they're really confident with each other. They want to cheer for each other. And it's so great to have that kind of camaraderie on a team, given that figure skating in some ways is an individual type sport. But I think this year that these 3 women are exceptionally strong. I think it's probably one of the most balanced U.S. squads we've seen in recent memory. You mentioned Alyssa Liu, who was a 2025 world champion. She has all of the things that make champions champions. Then you think about Amber Glenn. She's a 3-time national champion. And then Isabeau Levito, who was a silver medalist in the World 2024 games. So I think this team just has all the chops. They have the clean combinations. They have the perseverance to deliver, and they can do the technical difficulties, right? And so, again, I think this is a sport where gold is always tough to predict, especially when you're going to have competition from Japan, and you're going to have competition from the independent neutral athletes, which is what Russia is competing under now. So there's really no question that these skaters are a legitimate medal threat. But it's going to be interesting to see how and if they are able to really pull it off and put 3 Americans on the podium.
Yeah, you talked about them supporting one another. And that's one thing that I love about all 3 of them, is while they're skating individually, they're skating collectively for each other. Glenn actually said, I just think that we're all trying to lift each other up. And in doing so, it just pushes people to the top. I think it's just about that, and doing it in a healthy way. And that's the future of our sport. So, it's rough, because you're skating for yourself, like you want to medal, but you're around these incredible women who are also pushing you to be better. And so, I'm here for that always when it comes to sports. And yeah, I mean, no country has ever swept at the podium. So if that were to happen, that would be historic on every single level. But you mentioned some things about each skater, that they have accomplished. But what stands out to you about each one of these U.S. women skaters?
Yeah, that's a great question, Alicia. I think each one of them kind of brings something different to their programs that makes them fiercely competitive. Like I think about Elisa Liu, and I feel like she skates with so much intensity, fearless intensity. Like she isn't afraid to do anything. Every jump, every combination, it just looks like and feels like she's pushing the limit of what's possible in each and every program that she puts together. Then I look at Amber Glenn. She's so elegant. Her storytelling and artistry, like her programs are always effortless, the musicality, the expression. I'm like, okay, Amber, you are drawing me in on every single moment. And then there's Levito, right? Precise, poise. Like her skating is so clean. It's so controlled. It's so elegant. Like when she's hitting these challenging jumps, it feels so easy and so effortless. And again, I think the technicality that these three women bring is something that's going to elevate them over the competition in U.S. figure skating. And I'm really hoping, sis, that this year we can have a competition without any drama, right? Because if you remember a couple of years ago in the last games, there was some drama, and Russia at the time competing at AIN had their medal stripped due to the doping scandal, and the U.S. eventually picked up gold in its reallocation in 2024. And I feel like moments like that can overshadow the performances that we actually came to see. And so because this year's squad is so good, and in top form, a strong competition across the board, I just really hope that this year we can focus solely on the skating and solely on where the medals are decided on the ice, and not like by a committee or a courtroom or some extra stuff that really takes away from how hard these athletes work day in and day out to be here.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to overshadow just the beauty of each one in their skating, right? You just laid that out perfectly. And also their stories. Elisa Liu, for example, she was the youngest U.S. women figure skating champion at 13. And then she decided that she wanted to retire. She announced her retirement from skating at 16 years old. And after 2 years, she made her return. And she feels, and to me, that is crazy. First of all, to retire at 16, let's start there. But also to persevere and come back. Yeah, persevere and come back and find the love for it again. She said, if I feel like I'm skating too much, I'll back down. If I feel like I'm not skating enough, I'll ramp it up. No one's going to starve me or tell me what I can and cannot eat. So she is the master of her own career and what is going on. And she's doing it in the way that is healthiest for her. And that I love. So it's stories like that that I don't want to get overshadowed from a controversy such as the one that happened last time. But there has been already like a little bit of rumblings about Elisa Liu, her hair. She has these rings bleached into her hair, and she said that she has done that every single year. She adds a ring. You can see right here what we're talking about. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I love the expression that she has through her hair, but a lot of people were saying that she shouldn't be wearing that in competition. And she has even toned it down a little bit. And it's like, just let her skate. she's so hard to come back. Yeah. And she has this, to me, I love it. I absolutely love what she's done with her hair. And there's nothing wrong with that. She's expressing herself through skating, her hair, whatever she wants to do. Let her rock.
Let her rock out. Like, who cares about her? Like, seriously, here we go again with things that overshadow what doesn't have anything to do with how they're performing on the ice. Like this is a fire trio, right? They've got everything. And we're not really about to sit here and talk about how Alyssa can't perform her hair. Leave her hair alone.
Yeah. Leave her hair alone and support these women who are doing it in this Winter Olympics. I'm really excited. The buzz around them is fantastic. And they are definitely three of the athletes that you need to watch. Now, it's important as we look at the rest of what is happening in the Winter Olympics. This was like a little, I don't know, surprising to me. Only one Russian skater is competing at this Olympics. Adiela Petrosong competing as an individual neutral athlete. So that was really interesting to me because, you know, we've seen traditionally that Russia has really been high up there when it comes to skating.
Right.
And, I don't know if that was surprising to you, but when you look at
Very
the
much
kind of
so.
like scope of how skating has changed, what are your thoughts on how it's looking as we go into these Winter Olympics?
Yeah, no, completely agree. I did expect more competition from the independent neutral athletes this particular year because, again, like I take myself back to years of watching the Olympics as a kid, and I can always remember the European nations having some of the strongest skaters. Eastern Europe usually had some of the strongest skaters. Oksana Bayul is someone who comes to mind. She was incredible. I used to grow up idolizing how she looked and performed on the ice. And so it was surprising that there was only one competitor coming from the independent neutral athletes. But figure skating overall, like even I know we're, primarily focusing on women, but even on the men's side, the American competition is very, very, very strong. And I think that's this is going to be a year where the U.S. can truly be a dynamic force and a dynamic presence on the ice in the figure skating competition. And so I think about, skaters like Ilya Milanin, who comes from a figure skating background, right? And he's favored to win gold in Milan. So it's literally one of those competitions that I think everybody tunes in for. Like, no matter how you feel about the Winter Olympics, no matter how you feel about skating in general, like everybody's tuning in for figure skating. And this is one of those opportunities. I even like ice dancing, right? Like I've become a fan of different ice type sports. And so ice dancing, which is like kind of in the figure skating wheelhouse, but not really, but kind of is. Like, there are so many other events that are going to be circulating around this one central thing that there's a lot to look forward to. So I am hell bent on saying that the U.S. is going to shut it down this year. So don't y'all make me look bad.
Well, you heard it here first. Don't make Terrika look bad. Get out there and skate your hearts out, and we will certainly be watching. But when we come back, we're going to have our guarantee of the week, which is something that we look forward to every week. So come right back so you can hear what it is. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. And it's time for, I know it's Terrika's favorite and mine, it's time for our guarantee of the week, presented by AT&T. So listen, there's a lot of sports to watch, and we think that you should watch as many as you can. But we're going to point out some athletes and some sports that we think you should pinpoint as we go into the Winter Olympics. I'm just going to kick it off with somebody that I just interviewed, Terrika. So if you want to see that interview, that's going to be up on our YouTube page coming soon. And that is Mathilde Gramont. So she is a Swiss freestyle skier that I interviewed. And for anybody who doesn't know what freestyle skiing is, it's an acrobatic, creative and action-packed discipline that combines technical skiing with aerial maneuvers, tricks, and jumps. So like for me, and this is just my definition of it, so if it's wrong, let us know in the comments on that interview, but it's kind of like parkour. It's kind of like parkour meets like skiing. Like there's so many tricks and stuff that you're doing. It's really amazing actually to watch. And Mathilde is just phenomenal. So she's entering these Olympics as the reigning champion in slopestyle, both on the Olympic and World Championship stage. She won the gold in Beijing in 2022 and then gold at the 2023 Bakarani World Championship. In 2024, became the first woman to win 3 FIS Crystal Globes in one season. And she's the first woman to ever complete a switch double cork 1440 in competition in history. She started at the age of 2, which like, I don't even know if I knew what skiing was at 2, but started at the age of 2. And she's already in her 3rd Olympics at 25 years of age. Phenomenal story. She is a competitor through and through. I really enjoyed my interview with her, and she's definitely an athlete to watch. Going into these games, is there anyone in particular that you think we should watch, Terrika?
So first of all, she sounds incredibly dope. I will definitely be keeping my eye out on her. And an athlete that kind of got my attention. I'm really excited about it, and she really hasn't gotten a lot of mainstream attention at all, and that's Emily Harrop in ski mountaineering. Apparently, this is a new Olympic sport, so a lot of people are going to be watching her and this sport for the first time on this stage, but she's the defending World Cup champion. She likely would have been leading this again this season if she hadn't missed the opening race, but since she's been back, she's been dominating. Like, she's got like 2 wins, 2 second place finishes. She's got victories in the sprint discipline, which is apparently the contest that they're going to be having at the Olympics. And so, yeah, like, she is proving that she can perform. And I think that it's worth just paying attention and keeping an eye out open for her. The events are coming up next week on the 19th. So she's somebody I think you should keep your eye on.
Yeah, and just paying attention in general to mountaineering. I was looking at some videos on it. It is wild. Like, you're doing
It's wild.
In the snow, you taking off your skis, you putting them back on, you running upstairs, you're doing so many different things. And I don't know. I don't know if I would have it in me, but listen, let's go mountaineering in the Olympics. Let's go. I'm definitely
right.
It keeps your attention. Now I'm going to switch to something. Yes, I believe that you should be watching all sports. We just mentioned mountaineering. But I want you to pay attention to the game of fashion when it comes to these Olympics. It's in Milan. The Olympics are in Milan. So just off top, you're going to be fashionable just being in Milan, period. One of the fashion capitals of the world. No doubt designers are going to bring their A game. Ralph Lauren, as we know, always does, the designer and the house of design always does their big one with Winter Olympics gear. Sweaters. I mean, I look at some of that stuff and I'm like, how can I buy that right now?
Right.
Lululemon is dressing Team Canada. So it'll be really interesting to see what their iteration of their outfitting will be. Moncler is making its return to the Olympics after nearly a 60-year hiatus by dressing Team Brazil. And Team Brazil always brings it. Always. There's so many different people in fashion that are coming out for this. And it's always something that is widely covered and really a showstopper when it comes to Winter and Summer Olympics. There's always those outfits that you're seeing that you're like, okay, I kind of see where that's coming from. Mongolia's official uniforms are designed by Goyo Kashmir and blend traditional materials with the historical references of contemporary design. So they're bringing the history of what is happening, or has happened, that rich tradition of Mongolia into their outfits. So you got to look at the sport of fashion in addition to the competitions. Now, I know you got a good one for us. I know you got a good one. I think everybody loves.
Not as good as rocking what everybody's wearing. And I'm a Ralph Lauren girly. I got Ralph Lauren glasses, even though I'm not wearing them right now. So Polo, if you want to hook your girl up, I'm here. I'm available. But anyway, you know what I mean? We're both here. But here's the thing, Alicia, are we even really watching the Olympics if we're not watching curling? Because come on, because that is the must watch sport every single time. Okay. Curling is my favorite Winter Olympic sport, and it's not even close. It is all about strategy. It's all about precision. If you have been living under a rock, you are literally taking these heavy stones and you are sliding them down in ice towards your target, which is called your house. And you're trying to get closer to the center than your opponents, right? And so the magic is in the details. It's the angles, it's the speed, it's the sweeping. Like, by far my favorite part is like them sweeping, which literally controls how the stone moves. And so I think that curling is like chess on ice. These athletes are always thinking methodically, and they're so serious. Like, the faces that they make, they are serious about curling. I love it. It's literally my favorite Winter Olympic sport, with figure skating being a very close second. And this year, don't be surprised if the home country makes some noise, because Italy has a really strong mixed doubles team. Shout out to my girl, Stefania Costantini. And I think curling is that sport that you don't think you're going to like it, but then you stop because the TV's going and you're like, oh, wait, what is this? And now you're hooked. So yeah, watch curling.
Yeah, you definitely need to watch it. In all of our recent interviews, we've been asking the athletes, no matter what they play, right? What they would play in the Winter Olympics, like what would they do? And curling has been across the board. And I have to tell you, we interviewed Sydney Colson, and we have that interview coming out. And she said that curling was it, and she did a reenactment. Y'all have to watch that. So make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel and you're locked in for when that comes out, because Sid, she is hilarious, and her reenactment of curling was one that you must watch as well, in addition to the actual curling, because it was hilarious. And speaking of basketball, with Sydney Colson, our final segment that we have coming up, we're going to be talking all about women's college basketball and a little bit of Unrivaled. So make sure that you stay tuned to the end so we have this conversation. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. I'm Alicia J, here with Terrika, Foster-Brasby, and it wouldn't be a We Need to Talk Now show without talking some basketball, Terrika. And you were at something yesterday that we need to talk about for sure, and that was the Unrivaled Philly stop that they had on their tour. It was a sold out crowd in Philly of 21,490 people, which is a record attendance for a regular season women's professional basketball team game for any event in that venue's history. It was phenomenal to see, from the outside looking in. I wish I was there, but you were on the ground. So why don't you tell us just a little bit about the experience there?
Yeah, it was incredible. And when I say the building was electric, it was electric. There were, for one, it was great to walk around the city of Philadelphia and see people excited about Unrivaled in women's basketball. Literally in my hotel, going to the store, the 7-Eleven, it didn't matter. I was seeing someone with a Phantom t-shirt or a Rose t-shirt, which made sense considering that Natasha Cloud and Kalia Copper, who plays for Phantom and Rose respectively, are from the Philadelphia area. So it made sense that they would drum up that type of attention, but it was so many people who were just there for this particular thing. Then we add to actually getting to the arena. The atmosphere was incredible. The fans were loud. They cheered for everything. They were just excited to be representing Philadelphia in this space. You could tell that the crowd's energy trickled over to the play's energy. Marina Mabry, who is a Jersey native, which isn't far from Philadelphia at all, is right across the street, actually. She decided she wanted to make this a home game for her, too. So she goes off and drops 27 points in the first quarter. Mind you, these quarters are 7 minutes, 8 minutes. So it's not like you got a lot of time. But she drops 27 points in the first quarter, finishes the game with 47 points, which is a record for Unrivaled. It was an electric atmosphere, and I think it continued to prove one, that women's basketball, and everybody's watching women's basketball. Everybody really is watching women's basketball. But I also think it continues to prove that there is an appetite for women's basketball on all levels. It doesn't just have to be the style that we see in the WNBA. We see it in Unrivaled. We see coming up this week, as a matter of fact, Athletes Unlimited, and folks are getting excited about going to Nashville to see that. So the appetite for women's basketball, we knew it was there. You and I knew it was there. But just seeing that building on Friday evening just further clarified what we already knew and validated what we already knew, is that people love women's basketball and they're willing to consume it if you put it in a place and at a place that they can come to get it.
Yeah, and I absolutely loved seeing that. I loved it broke my heart, but also made me happy at the same time to see players like Natasha Cloud be emotional after the game, because they know what it's like to be in spaces where they weren't necessarily supported. And now to see this support and to see the way that people are just coming to watch women's basketball in these markets that don't necessarily have a team, but maybe should in the future. I mean, I think Philly made its case yesterday
Philly's getting a team in 2030. So it was like,
Absolutely. So we already know that they have that built-in fan base there that is going to come out in numbers as we see. But it's just, it's phenomenal to see how much it has grown, and also to see the players that have been through the gamut of the support that has happened for women's basketball get their just due in moments like that.
Yeah.
And so
can I also tell you that the stars were out in full drone? I mean, Sixers players were there. Dawn Staley was there. Tierra Whack was there. Leslie Jones was there. Wanda Sykes, Robin Roberts. This is cream of the crop talent that's coming out to see these women play. So yeah, people got to quit sleeping on women's basketball for sure. But when Philadelphia finally has their inaugural season in 2030, I think this was a great precursor that they're going to show up. They're going to show up big.
Without a doubt. And people are showing up for women's college basketball left and right, as they should. And we're going to end this show with some hot takes about women's college basketball, Terrika. And for me, I'll just kick it off, right? I think that this year is going to be the year of the upset in March Madness. I think we're going to see upset after upset. We're in that final four that we think has been locked in all season, and definitely has been locked in on those AP polls all season, is going to look different than we see it look now. So that's my hot take. What about you?
Well, I wasn't really wanting to make this particular hot take this early, but you know what? Let's just do it, right? I think UConn is going to finish this season undefeated, like 100% undefeated. The tournament is where they're going to feel a little bit more battle tested, because you already know how it is when it comes to the tournament. But I truly believe they're going to repeat as NCAA champions. And AZ Fudd is going to leave UConn the same way Paige Beckers did, with a title. Sarah Strong, she's on the cover of Slam magazine because she is the future of women's basketball. Like, this UConn Huskies team looks so, it's funny because Paige Beckers made a statement not too long ago where she was like, do they even miss us? It doesn't look like it, sis. They're doing just fine without you. And so I think this University of Connecticut team is showing dominance, and it's not just the they play in this conference type dominance. It's like they look like a complete team. It is very hard for me right now to see another team knocking them out of the number one spot. So that's my hot take. They're about to be back-to-back champions. That's how I see it. And also, really quickly, I need people to stop sleeping on Michigan State. All right. I know that they lost to Michigan, but Michigan State has been one of the best teams in the NCAA women's basketball this year, and folks have not given them the respect that they deserve. Robin Freilich is balling out with these girls, and I absolutely love it. And I know, again, that they took an L to Michigan, but they took the number 9 team in the country to overtime, and it was still a nail biter. So y'all need to quit playing with them and put them in the top 10. I am an AP voter. I put them in my top 10 every year. I mean, every week for at least the last month. They're a top 10 team.
All right. Well, if that's not hot, I don't know what is, Terrika. I don't know what is, but we will see how they fare in that top 10 moving forward for sure. And the UConn one, I couldn't agree more. I mean, listen, they've been rolling. And we have been rolling too on this episode of We Need to Talk Now. It's been great talking all things Winter Olympics and basketball. Make sure you're locked in, subscribed on every level so you can get all the updates of the newest shows. And we will talk to you next week right here on We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T.